Is this where I just do a little spiel of what we talk about?
Yeah,
Okay,
take it away.
so even though this is a publishing company, what disrupts and innovates the industry is that most publishers create books, and those books are soon forgotten about because there's no marketing plan behind them. So what we've created is an IP for having an authority impact strategy move, meaning we create campaigns for our authors that help them make money on their book, but also more importantly, help make money in their career. Recently, we've taken a deep dive into creating virtual events, YouTube, Zoom live events, where we get a lot of distribution for our leaders, authors, speakers, and even fellow podcasters. And it's made all the difference in whether they create traffic, opportunities, conversations. So I'm looking for interns that would like to learn a lot about the game of having impact, distribution, and creating social proof campaigns that really create abundance. Sheila, is this the little
Oh,
bit that I'm doing right
sorry.
now?
I was muted. I'm sorry. Um, how many folks are you looking for?
I would say between 4 and 10. We have a lot of events coming up, and I have some events I can show in in my presentation. And like last time, I was talking more from a standpoint of the opportunities people have with using a book to get where they want to go, to use a book to
Mhm.
market, network. And this time, I'm focusing a little more on what the opportunity is with regard to um, the disruption we're doing in this field. So I'm going to show, I'm going to share my screen in a second. Here we go. So this is an example of some of the events we do. So some of our events are 24 hours. We have a veteran event coming up on 11/11 where we need customer service, interns, we need moderators, maybe even some hosts. And for those of you who have a story that you'd like to share and you'd like to give your philosophy about patriotism and serving, you'd be welcome to actually share that in this event. So I'll just show you. This is a directory that we've created out of a channel called the Smile Channel, and these are the all the shows. Now this is these are actually the links that go to the shows, and there are over 300 shows here, and this has all been done in less than 5 months. So we cater to authors, and we do something called an authorthon where people share for 5 minutes who they are, what their book is, and they agree to support the other authors by buying their book for 99 cents as a Kindle and doing a review. So the toughest thing authors have is having reviews on Amazon. I promise you that's a very big challenge. And we've solved this by having authors support each other. We also work with children's authors. That happens to be my son in the middle there. He's written 14 books. He's 12 years old. And this is more for educators and children's authors. For those of you who are not bald, you may not really find this to be very appealing, but we,
I think we have a lot of bold people. You'd be surprised.
well, for the baldathon, we had one that was geared towards leadership, and then the second one was geared towards influence. So even though the person that's speaking is bald, it's not about them being bald, it's about them speaking about leadership and influence. So these are events we create. We do a lot of events that have to do with strategy and influencers. And this was recently last week. It was the International Chef Day on October 20th. And the chefs actually did demos on how they make dishes. And then this is the International Smileathon. This is 130 speakers spoke about the power of a smile. This is another one of the shows. And so this is the one I wanted to make sure you guys know. I don't know how many of you are in the DC area, but we are doing something at the Library of Congress on Tuesday, November 25th, a couple of days after. Let me get to there it is. There's the New York. It's actually on Saturday. It says Tuesday, but it's Saturday, November 23rd, and that's in Times Square. So we actually sell the opportunity to go and see your book on the Jumbotrons. And then this is the Veterans Day event on November 11th. We're looking about 12 or 13 days from now. So if you'd like to participate in this, or you know someone you'd like to nominate, this is an event I think that would really help get you out there. And if I'm not making this super clear, we're about distribution. So most authors, most speakers, most podcasters, they're about content. And as brilliant as their content is, if they don't have people that know that the content exists, unfortunately, they are unheard and there is no real abundance or no real conversation that can occur. I'll show you, just to give you an idea, if you go to this page on Amazon, YouTube, you go to YouTube and you go to Dr. Smiley Show. We're doing new artwork that's going to show this as the Smile channel, but to give you an idea, this is the first show we ever did. That's 5 months ago. If you go up to the top here, we have 606 videos, and this is all organic. And although this is still in its infancy, these are pretty impressive folks to have. I don't know if any of you have heard of The Shack, the movie The Shack, but this is William Paul Young, who wrote The Shack. He was on my show. And we've had the guy who created Uggs. We've the woman who created the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Think Grow Rich for Women. Here's a veteran here, Brian Arrington from Arrington Consulting, and he's actually been fantastic for us. He's helped us 10x our events. And what that means for you guys is that the more events we have, the more internship opportunities, and also the more abundance and the more needs we have for actually hiring people. So that is really the focus of what I wanted to share today, is that we're a company that disrupts. I've been in the DJ business, I've been in the photography business, the media business, and every time we do something, we do it with the mindset of how can we cause a whole different impact in the experience. And to give you an idea, I'll go to the photography days. Anybody can have a camera and photograph, but we went to the biggest events in DC, went to the White House 4 times, and we would photograph with a team of 6 people. They would go in 1 hour or 2 hours each. They'd come back to their studio and they would post-process the photos, and they'd be up within 6 to 12 hours. And we'd have upwards of 30,000 people coming to our page to see what we were showing that no one else was showing yet. So this was back in 2010. Right now, we're doing some of the coolest events that we call a-thons. So the veterans of Voices of Valor, that's going to be from 7 a.m. in the morning till midnight. And are any of you interested in actually sharing your story, and also why patriotism is important and why service is important? I'd love to see hands of how many people are here and how many people would be interested.
Raise your virtual hand so we actually see you if there's anybody.
I'm going to ask a couple questions. So one is anyone interested in sharing how they feel about patriotism and service and their story? And you'd have 8 minutes to do so. It'd be like a TED Talk. And when you do so, it would give you an opportunity to actually be marketed and have more people hear your heart. I don't know if you know this, but most people hire based on how they feel about you and how much they like you. And when I say like, how much they're inspired by you. So if you are, if you're super highly qualified, but you don't bring what I'd call the passion and the purpose, the vigor and the inspiration to the interview, I will say that could lower your chance of being hired. It dramatically increases it. There are a lot of companies that confess, Google, Apple, that confess that what they're looking for is someone they feel is hungry, is determined, is results based, proactive, action oriented, gets the job done, and that's what they're looking for. So I chose to be here for a second time because the first time I was here, I was talking more about the importance of a book, which I still think is a very important message. But this time I'm here to see how I can help amplify your story, have you involved with people that are actually moving the world in the right direction. We serve heart-centered leaders as authors, speakers, podcasters, community leaders, etc. So are any of you authors, first of all? Let me ask that question first. Any of you authors, raise your hand. Okay. Any of you want to be authors? Raise your hand. Okay. Look into that because your story sells you. When someone asks you in an interview, tell me your story, if you plot the book down on the table, it's quite an ace that you get to show. Colleges are looking at students right now that have a book already as a given that they are already an expert and they deserve to be in that college way more than someone who's not an author. So are any of you interested in media or marketing? Media or marketing? You're making me feel very. You're making.
I know
me feel
there's
very
got to
alone
be
here.
some folks. Okay,
Okay.
there's one hand.
Okay. Yeah, you're making me divert to how many of you wish you were bald. I mean, this is where this is going. Or how many of you like humor? Or let's go one more. Good. Thank you, John. Yeah. So what I do is I help people show up in the world. It's called personal brand. Does anyone know what that means? Personal brand? Raise your hand if you know what a personal brand is. Okay, thank you. Terry, you don't need to share that, but if you want to, you can. Terry,
It's
would you
just
like to
who
share?
you are and kind of what experiences you bring, kind of how you solve problems and, connect with people.
That is definitely part of it. I would say the biggest part of it is how the world sees you as what you do. So if I tell you I'm a publisher, but no one knows I'm a publisher, if I say I build personal brands, but no one knows that about me, that's actually not my brand. It's what I think my brand is, but it's not my brand. So to Terry's point, it is what you want the world to see of you, but the true personal brand is what is being developed. The world actually says about you. So for instance, if someone was wanted to be known as a personal brand as the best athlete of whatever, but they were known as something else, that would really be their personal brand they're developing accidentally. So we help develop personal brands. If you are a personal brand, you typically have a degree of influence and you typically can be searched on Google and or the top social channels and you get a job more often. Are any of you guys on Instagram? Raise your hand. Okay. Your Instagram is a place where some companies would look to see what kind of influence you have. Would you agree if you're on Instagram and you have influence and your message is positive and people are making it go viral that you'd have a better chance of getting a job? We agree. The reason I'm asking these questions is because you need to have an edge regardless of whether you want to have an internship with me, Brian Arrington, or whoever you're going with. The edge is that if you have a book, you are one step closer to having authority and having people listen to you than if you didn't have a book. That's one. If you have your Instagram and your LinkedIn dialed in nicely, that is a biggie. If you had a podcast and you are on YouTube and you had lots of shows with influential people, I just think these are things that give you that edge to getting hired. And so I would like to, in the time, I know we have a ton of time, but I want the direction of how I can serve you guys best. So um, I wrote 62 books in my latter part of my life. I actually had to have my mom get Alzheimer's, which I would never wish on anybody, but I was a caregiver for 3 years. And when I was a caregiver, I decided that I hadn't been living a purpose driven life. And so, with many conversations with God, I let go of my DJ career, which took me around the world to over 104 countries. And I thought that was life. I mean, that's what I thought life was until my mom got Alzheimer's. And when that happened, I look back and I said, wow, for 25, 30 years, I've said I was going to be an author. I'd read a book and I never wrote a book. And I didn't know the book was that important, but I knew it was important to me. But when I did a book, all of a sudden, more people wanted to talk to me. I got on 55 podcasts just for having a book. Not having a book, zero podcasts. I mean, that's quite a difference in experience. So I started writing about fatherhood. I started writing about marketing. I started writing about photography, jokes, just you name it. And if any of you would like any of these books absolutely for free, I'm happy to give you my son's books and my books. This is my personal number. I do give it out to people and events where I trust it's not going to be shared. So this is for you guys. This is a number I literally buy from my clients, my family, my friends, my partners. So you are welcome to have that number. You can ask me any questions you have. You can get all the books we've written. If you want, you can get children's books for those of you who are moms, dads. My son's books. We have about 70 children's books. We just are completing a book called Veterans Day for Jody Martin. She has a book series called Soldier Mom. And she came to us with the desire to do 15 books. And we are doing four of them. The fourth one is Veterans Day. And then we're doing a leadership series for her after that. How many of you were Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts? Raise your hands. Okay. My son is currently a Boy Scout. He said he's going to be an Eagle, but kids that are 12, they can change their mind next week, right? So, um, but Jody picked him to write a story about a Boy Scout and a Girl Scout growing up, being friends, and then joining the military services and serving their country. And I think it's going to be a pretty cool book. And just to show you how my mind thinks and why something like that could be not just beneficial, but create a lot of abundance, is we're going to market that to the USO. We're going to market to the Boy Scouts. We're going to market to the Girl Scouts that if you get training in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, you're becoming more oriented to what it is to lead and what it is to have confidence and what it is to survive. And these are all natural benefits that I think all of us would agree. Not sure if you're aware of this, but all the academies, whether it's the Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, 33% of their academies were Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. Pretty cool.
I knew one of my good friends from the Air Force Academy was the Girl Scout equivalent of an Eagle Scout. I can't think of what it's called, but
Okay.
my brother was an Eagle Scout, so I've known lots of them. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Well,
That book sounds cool.
I was just at Military Influencer
Yeah,
Conference.
gold award. I think that's right. Sorry.
Oh, gold.
Go ahead.
Okay, gotcha. So, a guy named his name is Coach Taylor, Coach Jeff Taylor. I met him at the event, MIC 25. Any of you guys go to MIC any year? I highly recommend it. It's
I
really
know
good.
our CEO and one of our other like leadership folks did, but
Well, it is the word influence underlined. I mean, there's a lot of people
yeah.
that are moving the world, especially our country, because they are stepping into their ultimate power as a leader. And I think three of the people I met there are doing books with us. And one of the gentlemen is Coach Jeff Taylor. So this is a book we made called Keep Smiling. And this is actually Jeff right here. But these are some of the folks we've met at different military influence. That's Brian Arrington, who actually is the one who recommended Seven Eagle. So if it wasn't for me meeting him, I would not be here today. And these are just other folks that we've had the pleasure to capture their smile and just show that they're doing great things with leadership. So I share this to say that our books are pictorial, they're leadership oriented, they're about fatherhood. So I hope that you guys take advantage of it. Just because the book is not costing you $20, I will tell you my favorite quote by Charlie Tremendous Jones, and it's the difference between where you are today and where you'll be 5 years from now are the books you read and the people you meet. And proof in the pudding. If I hadn't met Brian Arrington, I'm not here today. I've met some of the interns that he has working with him, and they are phenomenal human beings and phenomenal team members. I don't know if Ryan is here or Joey is here, but I wanted to make sure that they get an opportunity to share what a great experience it is to work with Brian Arrington if they are here. Sheila, do you know if they're here?
I can look in the participants.
Okay. There's Joey. Hey, Joey.
Okay, there's a Joey.
So, Joey, did you want to share your experience and Ryan afterwards about working with Brian Arrington? Oh, and one last thing, Joey, could you also share in the short time that you've known Perfect Publishing what you're seeing there as well?
Yeah. So working with Brian has been great. I get the opportunity to meet awesome people like Dr. Smiley here. It's definitely out of the realm of what I was originally looking for, but I'm still gaining a lot of good experience out of it. Um, we play around with AI and talk to businesses about how AI can help them, and just making stuff like that. That's just one quick, easy example, making a cool little Zoom background. Um, what was the other question you said?
Oh, just what your experience has been, even if you want to include what you've seen us do, and you created that for me.
I did. Um, wow, just lost my train of thought.
Whatever you think would help these folks make a decision to intern and to maybe even point them in the direction that Brian's a good place to start.
Yeah, so if you want to just work with a small team and mess around with AI a little bit, it's a good place to start. As far as Dr. Smiley here goes, he's got a great YouTube. I don't know if you've mentioned, I came in here a little bit late. Did you mention the Voices of Valor yet?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
And I'm hoping we're going to get a lot of signups because I think there's a lot of people here that would benefit from sharing their story.
yeah, he's got a lot of great events like that on his YouTube. And yeah, I mean, between him and Brian, there's a lot of networking to be had, a lot of great people you meet.
I think the underlying message I'd like to give of Joey's is in an AI world where things are going automated, if you are not getting some of those skills or working with people that have those skills, you might be pushing yourself backwards, not forward. And
Yeah, it's very important right now to keep an eye on that stuff.
thank you, Joey.
Mhm.
Ryan?
Yeah, so Ryan Hicks, also want to kind of add a little bit to it. I definitely enjoyed the little bit of time that I have been interning with Brian Arrington. Like Joey said, mess around with the AI tools and stuff like that. But actually, I kind of stumbled across doing some of his social media stuff and actually found out that I kind of enjoy doing that, setting up the social media stuff for the Arrington consultings and stuff like that. So it's kind of something that I probably would have never been exposed to if I didn't hop over with Brian and doing some of this intern stuff. Meeting great people again, like Dr. Smiley right here, has been awesome. And we're constantly reaching out to different people. Also, I've never really been 100% customer facing, obviously being in the military kind of background. But being able to reach out and start talking to clients and understanding how to set a discovery call to find out what's going on, how we could help them in our role with Arrington Consultings and stuff like that. So it's a lot of good exposure, getting me ready for my next step as I finish my transition. So greatly, it's a good time.
And Ryan and I are speaking later today, just so I can see, it's a friendship. I really do care about Ryan navigating the opportunities that are going to exist for him at this point. So I have a really big Rolodex. I've spent well over $1 million to have the Rolodex I have, and I'm called a master connector. That just means that when someone has a problem, they call me and they say, "Would you please connect me to somebody that could solve this problem?" And so I think Ryan has proven in the time I've known him at Arrington that he's someone I want to help, and I think he'd bring a lot of value to another company. Do any of you have questions? I've thrown a lot at you with regard to authorship, internship, the events, innovation, disruption. I have 6 companies that I run, and most of them are successful because of marketing and campaigns we create. So if I can help you with anything that is not related to what I've shared with you, I'm happy to do so. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I get an idea and I either help someone else with that idea, I partner with them, or I do it myself. And I would like to know, are there any of you that were interested in the Voices of Valor, the internship? I mean, not the intern, the Veterans Day event, and or do you know somebody? Because we're only going to give 111 spots, and obviously we'd like to give those 111 spots to people that would appreciate and be able to utilize the $2,000 or $3,000 in publicity that's going to give you in value. I know Joey and Ryan are also going to be speaking at that event.
So we did have one question in the chat that I wanted to circle back to just for everyone. Someone asked about where you're based out of.
Mm-hmm.
These internships and your podcast appearances are all remote, right?
No, they're not.
Okay. Okay.
So thanks
Glad
for
I
asking.
asked.
Yeah. So we are located in the DC, DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia area, Maryland side for that. Okay. Where my dad's last duty assignment was Fort Meade. I ended up going to Johns Hopkins for ROTC and just love the area, so I stayed here. So Baltimore, DC areas where we're located. I would say that constitutes maybe 10% of our live events. We do 50 live events across the United States. We've done some in Qatar. I just turned down an event in Dubai just because I don't have the manpower to continue getting out there that much. And then we're doing one in Ghana. So we do international stuff, very small percentage of them, but we are going more international. But we are looking to grow, and Joey and Ryan can attest this, that the virtual events we're doing on YouTube and Zoom are just, they're going gangbusters. Anytime I call someone, they're like, "Can you do this for us? Can you take our mastermind of 200 people or 300 people, and can you put them into this opportunity to share their voice?" And what they're so excited about is not that they get to tell their story, but that they have a platform that actually gets heard. And I can't tell you, with the millions of books that come out a year, it's such a small percentage that actually hit the mainstream or that actually get enough abundance or justification for the time. There's something called ROE, which is return on effort. There's another one called return on investment. The average author, I want you to take this in, 99% of authors spend $20,000, $10,000 to $30,000, but $20,000 is an average. and they get back 1,000. And how many of you excited about that equation? If you spend 20, you get 1,000 back. How many are you excited to do another book? Not too much, right? So we got in this field because it's not an equation that makes sense. And I actually went to 3 publishers. I flew out to them and I asked them the very simple question. Hey, I'm spending 20,000 or 25,000 with you. How do I make that money back? And it was crickets. They said, well, we're going to make a nice book for you. I go, yeah, I got you're going to make me a great book, but how am I going to make money back on this investment? And so I decided to start my own publishing company. I couldn't get an answer. And for those of you who know authors, I will tell you, unfortunately, they think that they're bad authors, they wrote a bad book, or they're just not, their content's not that great or whatever. And it's not that. It's that they never had a marketing system. Marketing is 99% of the success of a company, a product, a service, or a personal brand. And here's what's interesting, guys. If I was to give you one like super gold nugget, it is that you can be good, just good, and have a phenomenal or great marketing system, and you'll beat someone who's exceptional who does not have a marketing system every day. Every day. And here's what's cool about it. I've been a DJ that's just good. I've been a photographer that's just good. I could be a pizza maker that's just good. I promise you, with my marketing ability, you get to practice over and over again. Has anyone ever heard of Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell or Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell? So my biggest gift I can give to you, besides the point I'm making right now, is read those books. Malcolm Gladwell, Tipping Point, Outliers. I see those 2 hands. Let me just finish my point. We're going to go to you guys. If you practice all the time, what happens with practice? You become better. You become an expert, and you finally master. I was considered the best DJ in the DC area after roughly 7 years of practicing. And I will tell you, it added about 10,000 hours of spinning to the point that I could actually spin and understand beats without a headphone. So going to questions, Olivia first.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming to speak to us today. This has been a really cool opportunity. It's a very different career path than I would have even considered. So I really appreciate you bringing this platform here to talk about. My question for you is, I'm thinking back to my community on people who are authors within the military community. Are you looking for people with a completed book, or is this something where you're taking a manuscript and you're getting editing assistance or like cover design and things like that? Because I do have some people that they have a book, it's listed on Amazon, and they're kind of fall into that boat where it's not skyrocketing
right
by any means. But then I have other friends who they want to share their story, but they haven't started. They don't know where to start. So I'm wondering at what piece of the puzzle your corporation kind of falls.
So, not to sound arrogant, okay, or pompous or a jerk, but it doesn't matter whether you're at the end and you're on Amazon or you're starting. There's 99% failure rate, and it's because they don't have marketing. So we do care. Everything's about caring, but we do care that wherever you are, that you know that you could do more with impact. So we help the whole spectrum. So the ones on Amazon, we consider them a repub. A repub is a republish. So, and what's cool about that is someone that just blew 25,000, let's just say they picked, we can pick any number, but let's say 25,000. They blew it. We actually give them a crazy low rate republish. And the reason why is because we want them to experience what they could have experienced had they done it the right way. So, if I knew everything I knew now and I started a business, the 3 things I would look at is making sure that I had the right accountant, I had the right lawyer, and I had the right marketing plan. And I had to pay dearly for not having the right lawyer or accounting, but I always had the right marketing plan. So I was able to have that leg so strong it could supersede my weaknesses. That's how strong a marketing plan could be. I'm sure it's true for the legal and the accounting too, but my point is 99% that I've seen, I keep saying that number 99%, you can Google this. 99% of people do not think about a marketing plan or a marketing campaign. And here's something that hopefully will get you to smile. And I'm glad I'm not in a live room that you could throw rocks at me, but there's these 2 people and they're so completely different. One is Obama and one is Trump. They're not at all alike, but yet they're completely alike in that they both had a brilliant campaign marketing plan that was strategic enough to get the votes they needed to become the president of the United States of America. That is strange that you could have two people that would never want to talk or have dinner together or have any respect possibly for each other, yet they are exactly the same, that they do exactly what I'm telling you, which is to create a social proof marketing plan that has a tipping point. And that's what I do. That's what I do. I don't do politics because I don't want to represent people that I could have them win and it would be my fault. So I don't do that. I work with heart-centered leaders that I help them get their book, get them on stages, help them get business. A lot of people think a book won't make you money, and they're 100% right. It won't. But with a marketing plan, it can cause you to get conversations that help you make a lot of money. For instance, I had one person who was a veteran who was a coach in creating automation. And I know this sounds crazy, but he charged $50,000, but he only worked with businesses that were $1 million or above, and he guaranteed them that if he charged 50,000, they'd make an extra 500,000. Does that make sense so far? So he would have people that pay him $50,000. Well, he used a book as a lead generation or a lost leader. He would give them books that showed them that he was the expert. So there are 5 things that happen when you do a book. You become an authority. You have more business acumen. You have more credibility because you leverage the people that know you to say you're the best. You use distribution, which is the missing link usually, and you are able to show off your expertise. There's nothing else in the world that I know of that does those 5 things so well. A book points to websites, websites point to books, but websites are 3 seconds. If you give a book, if I give a book to John, for instance, I've seen some eye contact with him. I give him a book. I say, hey, John, I want to give you my book. Will you read it? And he says, well, you're giving me something that's valuable because it's $20. I'll read it. I say, great. I'll give it to you. And he becomes a prospect now at that point because I gave him the book because I thought he might be the one that would work with me. He reads the book, and in the end, he says, wow, Ken's a good guy. I don't necessarily need to work with him, but I know somebody who should work with him. That book was $4 for me to give to John, and John just gave me someone that might pay me $25,000. That make sense? So that's what we do for our clients. We don't care about the book cost. We care about what the book conversation causes. I think there was another question that I saw, but it may have dropped.
I think the other hand was yours.
Okay. Well, I have then I have a question. How many of you are going to take advantage of this Veterans Day Voices of Valor, knowing that it's worth $2,000 in publicity? How many of you have something you'd like to share about patriotism, service, and your story that would help market you into a job? Is this the bystander effect? If no one raises their hand, I'm not going to either. I promise you,
I'm
this
sure
is the smartest
somebody does.
Well, even if you don't nominate somebody, I'm giving you a gift. This is a Santa Claus gift. I know it's not Christmas yet, but this is something that's going to give somebody a lot of exposure. Let me see here. I see some names. Okay, I see Travis here. Travis is traveling around the universe. Travis, good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Would you agree that if 1,000 to 2,000 people knew you and got the right eyeballs on you, that you have a better chance of getting where you want to go? Thumbs up?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's my reason for being here. Whether you decide to do an internship with me, my new partner, Brian Arrington, I just want to give you the tools that if you're here, you are content. If you are taking advantage of a Voices of Valor and you're taking advantage of some of the skill sets I do with regard to campaigns, you are now moving into distribution. I know it's hard to believe, but content's 1%. Multiply it times distribution at 99%, and you're starting to look at the right equation of why things work and why things happen. You guys ever heard of the Beatles, right? Well, Malcolm Gladwell points out that the Beatles were just a good band. There were nothing special about them. But when they get their gig in Hamburg, Germany, which was a distribution piece, and they had to play for insane hours, like 15 hours a day or 12 hours a day, they started getting bored with their normal music. So they started incorporating blues and they started incorporating creativity. When they came back to Liverpool after just one stint in Hamburg, people were like, holy shit, this band is amazing. Who is this band? And someone would say, that's the Beatles. And the person would say, there's no way it's the Beatles. The Beatles are not that good. So I encourage you to read Malcolm Gladwell. And I encourage you to connect with me to find other books that might get you where you want to go. I promise you, whether it's a book, a message, a person, it is going to change the trajectory of your life. And I am very excited about this Veterans Day event. It's our 6th event, and we're going all in to make sure it's our best event. It's our biggest event, 7 a.m. in the morning till midnight. It's an 8-minute talk. For those of you who don't want to take advantage of a $2,000 publicity piece that would get you out there a lot more, I want you to ask this question to yourself. Why? Why do I not want to show up more? Why do I not want to have my voice heard more? I want you to ask that stuff, because you deserve to have your voice heard, and it's going to be the difference whether someone hears it, is inspired, and says, let's connect, I'd like to hire you. And I know it's a little scary. Doing my first book, it's something called imposter syndrome. Why? Who am I to write a book? Who am I to go on stage? And it took my mom dying, and the message I got from God through her was, life is precious. And this is certainly not a journey you get to practice. It's the one journey you get. So I hope that you hear not just my voice, but my invitation with all my heart to say, step into the fact that if there's an invitation for you to step on stage, even if you're not ready, even if you feel that you're going to embarrass yourself a little bit, if you come to the stage with your heart, which would be a podcast or this opportunity, I promise people will hear you. And me being in front of you, I was probably just a complete novice even 15 years ago. In 2015, I did my first podcast. And so I want to say that my voice shook. I was unsure of myself. I was naked in front of a screen. And here's one for you. When I was in ROTC at Johns Hopkins, I was a DJ already for 3 years. I still would not touch a microphone. It was my 4th or 5th year. And by the way, when someone would say, hey, DJ, can you tell that someone in the parking lot, their lights are on so that they turn their lights off, I would just hope they forgot to tell me that. Okay. So you're looking at a guy who had major fear about standing up in front of people. And the reason I did all this is I wanted to overcome it. So I don't know how I can help you, but I know one way I can help you is if you take advantage of this. I can see you, I can hear you. And like Ryan attested, and I shared with you, he's become a friend of mine. I will do anything I can to connect him to a job opportunity. So reach out. I gave you my number. And here's the question. If you don't text, you can't find out where it'll go. So, oh, and I have a question for you. This is a question that is really, I think, the difference maker. If someone like me was in front of me and I was you, I promise you this when I say this, if they put their number down, they would have already gotten a text. And I say that from a standpoint, I am the dude who's crazy enough that when someone does a number, I text them immediately. And because I have a book now, when they're done with their talk, if I was at a live event, I'd go up and say, hey, I know you don't get gifts from people, but I'd like to give you this gift. This is my book. And I've had it happen over and over again where they say, here's my number, or here's my card, here's my personal card. And I've got access to someone that can take me anywhere I want to go. So I hope that you take advantage of the fact that I have opened myself to support you.
Okay, couple questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
I see Joey dropped your LinkedIn in there. Hopefully that's the right one.
There are two, and I don't monitor the big one with 15,000. Yeah, the one with 15,000 I don't monitor as much.
Okay. Books, Dr. Smiley is the right one though, right?
That's
okay.
correct. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Joey. Let's see. Olivia asked a question in the chat. Looks like, okay, Ryan kind of answered for you. But she was asking if we're expected to write the 8-minute speech, or is it an interview format?
That's a great question. So we have just recently decided that because there are people that have a lot to say, but they don't know how to say it well, and they're not experienced at a TED Talk. Are you familiar with TED Talks, by the way? Raise your hand if you know what a TED Talk is. Mm-hmm. A TED Talk is 11 to 14 minutes of you just being naked on a stage and having it so well scripted that you end on time. That's it's cerebrally brilliant. So we've come up with 2 other alternatives that we're willing to do for any of our events, but specifically the veteran event. And so choice 1 is a TED Talk style. That's 8 minutes. You get guided in with a host and guided out with a host. The second alternative is that it is interview style. You'll give questions to the interviewer, whether it's me or Ryan or whoever, and we will interview you. And the 8 minutes or 9 minutes will go by very quickly. And the third option is a hybrid. You're not ready to do 8, 9 minutes by yourself, but you're ready to do 3 or 4 minutes. So we introduce you, you go 3 or 4 minutes, we see you stumbling a little bit, we come in, we do interviews for the rest of the 8, 9 minutes. I think number 3 is an important one to take if you are not comfortable with one. I think the interview style is not the right choice. An interview style is too much training wheels. I think you should step into what it is to be 3 minutes or 4 minutes, just speaking your mind, your heart. It's a good opportunity.
And you want people to text you if they're interested in this,
Yep.
correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And again, just for clarification, because I wasn't super clear for the podcast, for the Veterans Day event, do they need to be local to DC?
No.
Okay.
No. In fact, we prefer international. This is 7 a.m. to midnight, so the more international, the better, the more convenient for everybody. Oh, and if you have some MC skills, you're a podcaster, you've done some stuff in the past, and you'd like to step into a role as a host, you get 6 people to manage, kind of like a squad. You get to know them, you bring them in, you bring them out. And so if you'd like to be a host, there are 7 to 7 is 12. It's about 22 hours. No, I'm sorry. It's about 15 hours of hosting time. And it's an opportunity for you to show up literally 6 times more. So you show up as a guest, but you also get to show up as a host for all 6 of your guests.
And what's the message you're looking for
For the Veterans Day?
for the Veterans Day? Yeah.
So that we would like you to start off with who you are and why patriotism is so important. And then the secondary piece to that is why service is so important. So thank you for serving, right? And the third part, with the time you have left, which should be about 3 to 4 minutes, if not 5, would be your story. And it's something no one's heard, possibly, and something that would actually pull the heartstrings and cause people to want to know you more.
Deandra, do you have a question?
Hello.
Yes. Hi.
I'm sorry. So for the internship, what is it that you need us to do?
There's so many different positions, but we have the virtual side of it, which is customer service, moderation. I'd say customer service is a very big component of it. We are looking for interns for the publishing side, which are production people, customer service people, and people that want to learn how to manage Amazon bestsellers, as well as Amazon categories, social proof, reviews, etc. So we have 2 sides to the publishing company. One side is the production, which is making the baby, we call it. And the other side is letting the world know the baby exists, which is the marketing and social proof campaigns. So if your love is waking the world up, then it would be the marketing side, the media side. And then if you are more production systems oriented and you wanted to see how the book is made, I would go more of that side, production side.
And how can people apply for these?
If you text me that you'd like to, I'll send anyone that texts me, I'll send you a calendar link so you can either meet with myself or one of the managers on my staff.
I'm trying to put what you're saying into the chat so it's written down in case people have forgotten.
Yeah. So in any company, you need to have 2 extremely good people at making promises, a face person, and you have to have an extremely good person for keeping promises. And your company will last from a customer service standpoint. The third leg would be someone that gets the right marketing and social proof that anytime people search you up, you're looking good.
Deandra, did you still have a question or you just accidentally leave your hand up? I just don't want to leave you hanging. Okay. I guess not.
No, he answered my question.
Okay, just checking. All right. Any other questions? It sounds like a really cool OJT opportunity if you have some time left in your scopage.
In the book that I am willing to give you, my 60th book, it's got a lot of messages that I've learned in life. And so I'll just show a couple of them real quick. So how you perceive your life is fueled by the integrity you choose to create your new reality. In other words, when someone says they're going to be this and they're not this yet, your perception of it is so unfounded, but with the integrity, you cause it to be a reality. So that's one I'll just share with you. And there's all kinds of cool things in here, but look at this. Action is the antidote to anxiety. And this is a pet peeve of mine when people say you're busy. Busy means you have no control of who you are, what you're doing. So I strongly encourage you to choose the word and embrace the word productive. And these are all the keep smiling languages. This is actually it's almost a social proof book of all the things we've created. Here's the perfect partnership. It's created when two or more people agree verbally or in writing to compete unconditionally, give more than the other. I've done this with every one of my partnerships since 2001, roughly, and not one bad experience with partnership. Ryan and Joanne, you can get a sense that I apply this to Brian's relationship, friendship. Here's one for you. Those who read my books are happier, more intelligent, and better looking than those who don't, according to a study I made up. So there you go. And I don't know if I have. Oh, for those of you who wear Adidas products, there you go. Adidas, all day I dream about smiles. There you go. PhD, we're hungry, determined, persistent, humble, destined. But this is my favorite one. This is one I wanted to show you guys today as my closing comments, whether I speak more or not, but this is my closing comment. Mark Twain came with this gorgeous 2 days, the two most important days in your life, 2, not 3. The day you were born, and the day you found out why. And I had the third one, and I talked to Mark Twain. He didn't answer, but I'm pretty sure he agreed from heaven. The day you choose to do something good with your purpose. And I say that from a standpoint that so many of us obviously are born, and some of us are lucky enough to find out why. But how many of us actually say the gift is actually what I'm going to do with that answer? So you all have talent. You all have a reason to make a difference in the world. It's just having that opportunity to be seen for it, or having that opportunity to be supported for it. So if there was one message I'd echo the most, that's what I'm here to do. It's amplify your goodness.
Any last questions? Just don't want to leave anybody hanging. And by the way, if anyone has questions about like how doing an internship with a company works while you're in Seven Eagle, just hit me up afterwards, or anybody else on the Seven Eagle team will explain how it works. But you can do this while you're in Seven Eagle.
Sheila, I do have a short story short story to share with the group.
Yeah, you got time.
My son, this is a little 2-3 minute story. I got time for that? 2-3 minutes?
Mhm.
So my son, Kenny, who has written, as I said, 14 books, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I wouldn't have been basically heading towards homelessness. And I lost 386 events. I didn't know what I was going to do. And my wife said, we just lost 386 events. We have only 2 events left on the calendar. And I said, yeah, I know. And she says, what are we going to do? And I said, I don't know. And she says, you don't seem to be worried. I said, I'm not. And she says, why aren't you worried? I said, I don't know. And I realized later it was faith. I just had faith. I had faith this was something that was an opportunity somewhere. And probably within about 3 days or 4 days, I look at my son. I said to him, he's 6 years old. And I said, hey, Kenny, we live in Maryland. Where's the capital of the United States of America? Now, if you don't know about anything about Maryland, 4 of the best education systems, public education systems, I say in quotes because after you hear this, you may question that they are good. I said, Kenny, where's the capital of the United States? And he says, I don't know. Now, he had been in school 4 years at this point. He had been in school since he was 3. And I said, really, you don't know? It's really close to us. And still same answer, I don't know. And I said, it's Washington, D.C. We're only 35 minutes from there. And he goes, okay. I said, well, Kenny, I was a physics and chemistry teacher, and you're going to learn a lot of science over the next 6 months or whatever we have time that I'm going to teach you. And I was on the road all the time, so I was not able to ever really teach my son these lovely things. I said, the next thing you're going to learn is geography. So there's 206 countries. He learned 103 flags. He learned where those countries were and just something about them. And with chemistry, he learned there's 118 chemicals. He learned half of them, what the chemicals were, what the use of that chemical was in the world. And I share this to say, we don't know when something happens to us, whether it's good or bad, but it's our choice whether we make it good or bad. And so my son was an introvert. He hated being photographed. He hated being videotaped. And if he caught you videotaping him, especially me, I would be told delete, delete, delete. And he would actually have a minor temper tantrum until he saw the video was deleted. Now, you don't know how hard it is to make a copy of a video so you can show your son that it's deleted, but I got pretty masterful at that. So he does his first book, and it's a book about jokes. He says, Daddy, what should I do a book about? I said, well, people are kind of unhappy right now. They need something to laugh about. Why don't you do a joke book? And he says, how would I do that? And I said, well, why don't you look up on Google jokes? And if it makes you laugh, put it in your book. If it doesn't make you laugh, don't put it in your book. And he came up with his joke book. And I never knew that book would completely alter who he was in life. Now, this is a very timid kid, very unsure of himself, hated his voice, did not want to be videotaped. He does his book in about, 2 months. He makes a joke book. It's a lovely little book. Let me see if I can show you how simple it is. But it did get on Amazon. It sold about 250 copies. And here it is. This is the joke book. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you is I cannot convince you how important it is what I'm telling you you could do. But this is the book, and these are the jokes. Okay? Now, I'm not going to show you the joke I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you this. He was invited when his book sales were doing so well by a podcaster, and she says, I'd love to have your son on my show. And I said, okay, great. I would love that too. I went to Kenny and I said, hey, Kenny, you get an opportunity to be on a podcast. And he says, I don't want to be on a podcast. Now, this is a boy that doesn't like his voice. And he definitely doesn't want to be videotaped. That's on top of it. I said, well, Kenny, you made a book. And if you made a book and you don't tell people you made this book and people don't know you made this book, you won't sell any more books. He says, okay. And I could tell by the way he was saying this, he was very resigned. He definitely did not want to do it. And I said, tell you what, Kenny. And as a father, I've made this rule about my fatherhood experience is I will ask my son to try something. If he doesn't like it, he never has to do it again, but he has to try it. So I said, Kenny, if you do this podcast and you don't like it, you never have to do another podcast. He says, okay. So he gets on the podcast and he's very uncomfortable. And the podcaster asked him, well, why'd you do the book? And he says, well, my dad lost all his business and I felt sorry for him. So I hired him as a publisher. So that was what he said. So I said, awesome. And then she says, well, why don't you tell a joke from your book? And so he says, okay. And I told him to have 3 jokes ready. He had one ready to go. He says, what did the father buffalo say to his son when he was going to school? And the podcaster said, I don't know. What do you say? Does anyone know? Bye, son. Bye, son. That got the podcaster to laugh, just like it gets, hopefully, you guys laughing. And he's told this joke probably 50 times since then. And every time it works. I mean, every time it works. And he sells out of all his books. And she says, tell me another joke. And he shifted from a person who did not want to be on the podcast. I'm not kidding you. He shifted from I do not want to be on this podcast to neutral. It doesn't really matter if I'm on or off this podcast. And I saw that in front of my eyes. I could not believe it. He was engaged. He wasn't loving it, but he was engaged. I could feel in his mind the marbles going and the chemicals going, like, what just happened? I didn't like this. And this is actually not something I don't like right now. Well, he gets an offer or two to do some more podcasts. The second one, he says, okay, I'll do it. And I see him shift a little more towards he likes it. By the third podcast, he's asking me, when's my next podcast? He becomes a ham. The kid is not afraid to get on a video. He's not afraid to, if you go to the Dr. Smiley show, his shows perform very well. He shares his heart. He's cute. And I just say this to say, wow, a pandemic, my mom dying of Alzheimer's, 2 things I would never wish on humanity or a family. And yet those 2 things turned out to be blessings in the weirdest way. So I share that story just to say we don't know when we're offered a gift like this how it could change your life. I hope that you take advantage of it, because I am not here just as an employer. I'm here as a champion for humanity. I'm here as a champion for people who want to make a difference.
And thank you for that. That's the second time I've heard that story, and I love it every time, especially as a mom. So
And you
thank
guys
you
can all
again
get
for
you can all
being here.
get Kenny's books for free. They're all available. Here's what I need. If you text me just 3 things. I need you to text me your name, your email, and then I would love it if you included a picture of you smiling, just so I know who it was that I was possibly seeing on the screen. That's it. Everything else, I'll take care of. If you say specifically, I want Kenny's books, or I'd like you to just pick some books for me, or do you have any books from this? Happy to send them to you. Happy to.
Well, thank you again for being here, and thank you for sharing those opportunities. Everybody grab his phone number from the chat before you leave the Zoom room and lose it. But yeah, thank you again, Ken.
You're
Dr.
welcome, Sheila.
Smiley. Appreciate you being here.
Anytime I can help. Thanks, guys. Good luck with everything, and I hope to see you on the Veterans Day event.